The format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, a secretary's announcement, and a coffee and snack break, and our main speaker. Our first speaker for tonight is Diego.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Diego, alcoholic. Diego. Thank you for inviting me up here to speak tonight and share my experience, strength, and hope. I just want to start off by saying I love Alcoholics Anonymous, and I never thought I'd say some weird shit like that, dude. Like, I'm telling you, like, my whole life, it was always like, dude, you're so smart, you got so much potential, like, you got so much going for you, dude. Like, just stop drinking, dude, or just count your drinks, or try church, or it was all this shit, dude, and really, like, sorry, I'm going to swear a couple times out of respect to this meeting. I'm going to try to keep it to, like, 3 or 4, but I had to burn one right there, dude, because, this is not something I like doing. I'll tell you that right now. When I got here, I sat down with my sponsor, and I was like, yeah, like, okay, I can work the steps. Yeah, dude, like, okay, 3 meetings, or, 3 commitments, find a home group, yada, yada, dude, but I will not come up here and do that stuff, dude, like, anything but that, but really, it's for the newcomer, dude. I realize that now. I hope to be a mirror for you to hopefully see yourself, and if you do, welcome. If you don't, that's okay. We'll be here if you need us. So yeah, dude, basically, like, I drank so much alcohol that it burned my life to the ground. I love drugs too. Anything to get me out of myself, dude. I don't know or care to speculate if anything makes me alcoholic or anything made me alcoholic, right? And I know there was a turning point. I played a lot of sports growing up. I blew out my knee, and that introduced me to a lot of pain pills. And it was really fun in the beginning, dude. It was just, Friday night lights, going out keggers after the games. And, Coronas on the beach volleyball and whatnot, running amok in Santa Barbara. And it was good times, dude. But, just somewhere along the line, something clicked for me where I realized, like, I found a cheat code to life. And I made it my mission to feel that way. All the time. And I didn't understand why other people, like, didn't take advantage of that, and so I proceeded to do that to the extreme, a couple Deweys before I graduated high school and started getting into trouble. And then, everyone's kind of starting to write me off. And I don't know, dude, I like that, alcoholics, I feel like we just kind of we like to have a chip on our shoulder. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, dude, if you guys understood, like, what I had to, like, battle through on top of, like, doing all this stuff, like, you would know, like, how fucking, how amazing I really am or whatnot, But, so I doubled down my efforts in school, right? And that kind of validated some of my behaviors, so I thought, and I did really well. And I think I had arrived somewhere in City College, right? Like, I had started a nonprofit. I was really involved in the community and health and straight A student and whatnot and all the stuff on the outside. But, at that point in my life, dude, like, more than anybody, the alcoholic leads a double life, dude. And that's when it really took over me, and that was like a point in my life where I started crossing every line I say to never cross, and became like a shell of a person. I was wearing all these different hats, putting on this facade, and it, dude, like, that it's so painful to do that. Only you guys know how painful that is to lead that double life. And eventually, dude, like, I found the morning drink. A shower beer was my favorite thing. If I was lucky, I'd wake up and a half-warm beer next to my bed, and then I can, get that one down, and then, crack open another one, shower beer, and put on some music. I'll shave, I'll comb my hair, and then, we'll figure this out, because I had a lot of texts and phone calls and pieces to pick up, and in hindsight, it's like rearranging the furniture on the Titanic, like, it's going down, dude. You know what I mean? And dude, it went down, man. At the end there, like, I was probably like 19, 20 years old, and by that point, dude, like, I had to be medically detoxed. I had to be medically detoxed because my body started breaking down. I'm one of those seizure guys. The first one was from my mom. That wasn't too cool, but, like that. And so it was either, like, being medically detoxed or, I ran out of money or I ended up in jail. Like, that was it, dude. And the flame burned quick for me, and, I came pounding on the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous a couple years later, probably around, like, 22, 23. And in those 2-3 years, I was kind of bouncing in and out of rehabs and IOPs and whatnot, but I just, dude, I hadn't been beaten down enough, I didn't have that no beaten out of me enough, and I hadn't been humbled enough because I thought I was different. And that was one of the hardest things for me to do in my whole life, was identify as an alcoholic, because I don't look like an alcoholic, or so I thought, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know the qualifications of what makes me an alcoholic. I don't have to beg for change or hang out by the train tracks to be an alcoholic. And so I did all those rehabs and IOPs better than everybody else, right? And so I thought, and I failed to identify. One great story is I went to this rehab, CRC in Santa Barbara, and I remember looking at the schedule on the board. I was like, okay, I can't do the 3 o'clock. I can't do the 6 o'clock, because I got shit going on, dude. I'm still in school. I'm still working remote. You guys don't get it. And then someone sat me down. I was like, no, dude, I don't think you get it. The way that you're living your life is not working. You need to change something. And going to rehab and being locked up for 30 days isn't enough for me. I'm an alcoholic of the hopeless variety. It's not just the way I drink. It's the way I think. It's the way I behave. It's the way I perceive the world. It's messed up, dude. And so finally, on October 16, 2021, I came banging on the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I hopped on the Zoom meeting, and I begged this man to sponsor me. I threw it in the chat. I was like, well, someone please sponsor me, dude. I was shaking like a leaf, trying like hell not to have another drink, too, but I didn't want to have a seizure. And I needed to get into action right then and there. And thank God that man was there, And that's why today's service work is so valuable and important to me in my recovery and my purpose in life, because I'll never forget that man being there when I was ready, And so I met up with him the next day, and he stabbed me in the face with the truth. It was like, dude, if you're the real deal, which it sounds like you are, you're fucked. You're going to drink again. And that's exactly what I needed to hear at that moment, because there's no more fun and games. It's not cute anymore. This is life and death. And so we got into action within a matter of weeks. We were through the steps, and in the middle of my 9th step, I remember on the first day I'd gone around and made 8 to 10 amends in person, face to face. And I called my sponsor. I was on the way home, and I was like, yo, D, I don't feel good. You told me if I did this shit, I'd feel good. And he said, dude, fuck what you feel. Did you do it? And I said, yeah. And he hung up the phone. And then I proceeded to call another buddy of mine, and he was like, dude, that was your spiritual experience. You're doing what you don't want to do because it's the right thing to do. And so I proceeded to get all the promises and put all those before my relationship with God and my program. And I proceeded to burn my life down one more time and almost didn't make it back. But when I did, that same sponsor was there, and he was armed with the facts about himself and the illness of alcoholism. And I jumped in, and it wasn't the same as the first time. For any retreads, dude, I beg you to please let go of that experience and just have a new experience, Because as soon as I let that go, that I'm going to have a white light experience and my life is going to change overnight just like that. As soon as I let that go and just stayed in action, I woke up one morning 3 months sober and sober living, and I realized I hadn't had a drink in 3 months, and I've been waking up on time, praying, showing up to work, and trying to be of service. And I said, that's not me, that's God. That's not me, dude. And today, dude, it started out as a flimsy reed, became, the loving hand of God. And if you're new, I know how that God stuff sounds, man. I was the same way. But today, it's the great fact of my life is the presence of a loving higher power, dude. And I can't thank my sponsor enough for showing me how to stay in action and to give this thing away. And getting sober and helping other dudes get sober has been the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. If I died today, I'd be a happy man because I get to walk this road with you guys. And, God willing, if I do the same shit I did yesterday, today, and I do that tomorrow as well, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse. But if I stay on the path, I can live a happy life, and I can, have a life of purpose. And so with that, I want to thank you guys for having me. I think my time's up.
Would everyone please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me this serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Now our main speaker will share his or her experience, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Darren from Santa Barbara.
Don't you misgender me. Darren, alcoholic. Ooh, I'm happy to be out here with you guys tonight. I love AA. I'm just like Diego. Diego, you are amazing, man. Amazing. I don't need to say shit right now. And he started swearing, so you can't blame me. Right? And we're going to give a shout out to the half measures section over here. I'm jealous I can't be out there with you lot instead of having to do this. But Alcoholics Anonymous is amazing, man. I love AA. I love it with all my heart because having witnessed something like that firsthand is nothing short of remarkable. Talk about getting a full heart moment. And why do we do this shit? Why are we here in a somewhat so-called boring meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous with a load of losers, a load of quit? That's what I thought was going to happen in coming to AA, right? That's why I didn't want to come to AA. I'm like, dude, I'm a party animal, dude. I don't go to Alcoholics Anonymous. That's for quitters and for weirdos and people with big bushy beards, not a cool bushy beard like yours, you know. How about a shout out for me bringing down the Mexican mafia from Santa Barbara here? That's right. Every one of them on parole, I guarantee it. I didn't think we were going to have fun in AA. I thought it's going to be shit. It's going to be boring. I didn't know it was going to be full of you lot. You're just like me, party animals. And the wheels came off. So it made no... Plus, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. I can't be an alcoholic. Most people in here, you can't be alcoholic. Look at all these youngsters. You're all too young. You're too beautiful. You're too businesslike, too well put together. Well, some of us look like we've had a good drink, but you don't look like an alcoholic. The alcoholic is the bum on the end of the off-ramp who's begging for change, that loser, right? So it took a lot for me to come to the rooms of AA, let me tell you. It was the last house on the block. And it seems to work a little bit better when that's the case. I remember it well. I was cornered by King Alcohol. Quicksand stretched all around me. I'm living I'm in America at this point, by the way. I'm not drunk right now. I'm English. I'm not having a stroke. It makes sense now. But I was in this crappy room in a shitty house on the west side of town in Santa Barbara. And I was maudlin drunk. And it was midnight. And I've been suicidal on awakening for at least 2 years. 2 years of being suicidal on awakening. And because I'm going to end it, my roommates who wanted nothing to do with me, I was a drunk bartender, got fired. They were all still working in the industry. They're downtown partying, having excluded me, of course, which makes for more self-pity. And I'm going to off myself. So I decided to call Alcoholics Anonymous. So I picked up I got the yellow pages. You young'uns will have to Google that shit, won't you? I couldn't find the number for Alcoholics Anonymous. That's how drunk I was. It's fucking AA, dude. It's in the beginning of the book. And this lovely old lady answered the phone. She was so nice to me. She talked me down off the ledge. I hit her straight with the 1-2. Yeah, I might drink too much, love. And so would you. If what's happened to me had happened to you. And then she would just say some nice things like, have you ever been to a meeting? No. What would I want to do that for? I'm already suicidally depressed. I passed out. I came to the next morning remembering I'd told her I'm going to go to this men's stag that's in Santa Barbara. She made it sound so special. There's a meeting down the road from you. I didn't know there was 200 meetings a week in Santa Barbara. Now, I can't say I didn't have a drink the next day because that afternoon, if I'm going to leave my bedroom, let alone my house, I have to have a bit of cheeky vodka in me, you know what I mean? Especially if I'm doing something really weird, like interacting with another human. So I showered for the first time in months and I gelled my hair all sexy like I used to be able to, like Diego back then. And I went wandering down to this AA meeting and it was a huge men's stag called the Men Without Legs. And there were 90 men outside this meeting hall. And they're all so happy to see each other. It was a bit like this meeting. There was a vibe about it. There was a vast amount of fun about it all. Someone had gotten engaged and they're all congratulating him. Now I'm sat down. I don't want to catch anything from these happy fucks. You know what I mean? By the time I got to AA, I hated people generally speaking. but I especially hate those happy people. How can you be sober and happy? It makes no sense. So then the meeting was about to start. So just underneath, the deadly earnestness kicked in. The secretary ruffled his papers, sat down, looked like he's getting ready for business. Everybody shut up, got off their phones. I love that when they make that announcement about the phone. They got off their phones and everybody sat in two huge circles, 90 men. And as the meeting started, I thought, well, this is a nice time to open my jacket pocket. I pulled out a big-ass bottle of vodka, started drinking in the meeting. And the guy next to me is like, holy fuck. This guy's drinking vodka in the meeting. And I was astounded that nobody else was drinking. I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't this Alcoholics Anonymous? Don't you have a drinking problem? I have a drinking problem. I stayed drunk in the rooms of Santa Barbara AA for a year. For a year. Openly drinking for 3 or 4 months, openly drinking from my vodka bottle. But I only got kicked out of 2 meetings over a year, period of a year. That's pretty good going, man. One of them, I kept falling off my chair. And the last time I fell off, they just grabbed me by the hood and just dragged me out. And another one, I got a bit mouthy and they kicked me out. But, I realized what you cheeky monkeys were doing. What you lot were doing was you're putting your vodka in a water bottle, then bringing it to the meeting. Like, oh my God, you could have told me. Now, I started drinking at a regular age in England. I started drinking at 13. I thought, Kelly's going to fall off her chair there. 13? Oh my God, that's ridiculously young. Not nowadays, right? Not with all you youngsters. And what I've realized is you can't outdo anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous anyway. So don't even try, right? Someone over here is going, I was drinking when I was 8. Okay, mate, good for you. This one woman speaker said she was drunk in her addicted mother's womb. In the womb. Okay, Teresa, you win. You win. You can't outdo that, can you? Now, so I had a good time from 13 to my mid to late 20s. I had a good time drinking and doing drugs. Now, this is AA, and I'm going to talk about alcoholism, but I did try cocaine once for 20 years. I love that shit. I love amphetamines. I love speed. Anything that will allow me to outdrink Julian, you know what I mean? And so I had a good time. Some people don't like that. We had a good time. So it's like, don't worry, mate. I do end up ruining my life and wanting to kill myself. We're going to get there. But I became an entrepreneur in Manchester, England, and I became partners with my brother, and we were a brilliant team. The banker watched with amused skepticism. I willed some fat checks in and out of his account. But alcoholism crept in. And alcoholism comes in the form of massive amounts of anxiety, right? Some of us have it here tonight. It just comes with the part of the deal. And it comes with massive amounts of depression. And so I don't think I'm alcoholic, because when I'm out at night, I'm having a good time. Like Superman. You fill me up with some booze and drugs, I'm like Superman. But during the day is when alcoholism is kicking my ass, man. I'm so jittery. I'm so nervous. And then I would go out that night and you put a couple of pints in me in a line or something. I'm like a mixture between James Bond, Dave Chappelle, and Harry fucking Potter. I'm going to have a good time. But I'm confused with what's going on with me because I can't perform my job. I remember I was driving a nice sports car. I've got Miss Manchester on my arm. And one time I'm sat in my car and I'm outside the bank and I'm paralyzed with fear. Do you remember those days where you just can't move and I can't function and I can't present these checks? I just can't do it. And I didn't know that was alcoholism. I just thought something really weird is going on with me. I couldn't put it together. I got fired from a business that I created. Only an alcoholic can pull that off. We're in a boardroom meeting and I'm not paying attention. And my brother says, yes, Darren, so we're going to have to let you go. We've had a meeting before the meeting. I went, wait, what? I woke up. What? He said, yeah, and I knew he's smart. And he said, yeah, we've all signed this thing. And I got so angry because I was being called out. I knew the gig was up. I got away with a lot of bullshit because I'm the boss. But we always have somebody who's onto us. And my brother was onto me. I got so mad I kicked the table over to go and give him a flying headbutt, right? I believe in clear communication. The finance director tackles me. It's just a nightmare. Classic alcoholic moment that we've been found out. The mask has slipped. Now, here's what sums up my alcoholism. It was a Thursday night, and all I care about is getting ahead of the story. You can't be talking poorly about Darren. The wheels are turning. Who was in that room? Only 3 other people. One of them's an idiot. The other one's my brother, who's a wanker. And the other one, we can figure that out. So it's a Thursday night, and I'm going home figuring this out. This is the most depressed, miserable day of my life to date. And it's a Thursday night, and I've already arranged to go out with my mates that night. Was anybody else's weekend longer than their week? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Yeah. Now I go trudging down to the bar, and here's what alcohol does to me. I have a couple of stiff drinks, and woof, the old-faced determination to win comes right back. And here comes my mate Simon, and here comes Dave. And I said, did you hear about that bullshit today with my brother? He's a wanker, dude. I built that business up from my bedroom. I don't need any of those. I can do anything I put my mind. And they bought it. And they're nodding their head, and a few other boys came in, and they're listening, catching up, getting the real story from me. By this time, they had a few more pints. I'm full of shit when I've had a few more pints. Now I've got an audience of all my friends, and I'm like, yeah, screw those people. You know what I'm going to do? When I was a student, I used to love go traveling. I'm going to go traveling again, boys. I'm going to go to America, and I'm going to become president or some shit. Hey, apparently any fucker can become president over here. I didn't know. I think the problem is the shitty UK weather. I think the problem is my brother. He's a wanker. I think the problem is my girlfriend. She keeps leaving me for stupid little things like my cheating on her and stuff. But no, somebody books the problem on a flight at Manchester International Airport and flies him all the way to LAX. And an uncle I've never met before comes and picks me up, lights up a big spliff, says, welcome to America, Darren, passes me the spliff. We drive up the 101 to go to Santa Barbara. He owns the English bar in downtown Santa Barbara. See, there is a God. I came to America for a 2-week holiday 24 years ago. I never made it back to England. I didn't know I was going to circle the drain of life and almost die of alcoholism. I thought I'm coming to have a good time, just take the edge off. I stayed for 90 days instead of 2 weeks because my visa waiver would allow it. I had money. They had to cut me a crappy check. And I'm having a good time and become a daily drinker. Now, my lack of responsibility is really going to mask my alcoholism. Staying drunk and high isn't the problem for us. Facing life sober is the real problem. So I'm drunk this whole time, having a good old time. A friend flies over from England, I buy an SUV. We travel the whole of America for 12,000 miles around the map of America. 32 states, 12,000 miles, 5 months road trip. I am drunk off my ass in every town, city and state. By the time we get back to Santa Barbara, I have 7 outstanding warrants in 5 different states. That means we had a good time. My friend who's normal goes back to Santa Barbara and I become a drunk bartender. I become a drunk bartender hanging on by a thread. Having to turn up to work sober is a bad deal when you're at our stage of alcoholism. Bad deal. And this is when I discovered the morning drink because I knew I just couldn't do it. When you do a job where you're behind 3 foot of wood and everybody wants you and wants their attention, you remember the levels of anxiety that we get to. There's no way, dude. There's no way. So now I had a plan was to have a drink, but I can't be drinking me neat vodka under the bed yet. That's for losers. Now my plan, I'd come to in the morning and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, did I even work yesterday or not? I'd have a shadowy recollection of being the drunkest person in the bar. Yes, at work. The locals had put me in the corner stool and I'm watching them through one eye, serving each other, giving money to each other and everything, thinking, this ain't right, man. And then I've got Jägermeister coming out of every pore and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on with me? Now I'd have to go down to Dargan's Irish pub to get a cheeky stiff drink in me to go across the road to the English bar and go to work. I think that's logical. I think I'm doing my boss a favour. And so, and then I'm at work and I would overshoot the mark. I should have been fired on day one. On day one. I stayed bartending for just under 2 years. Just under 2 years of hanging on by a thread. The book says we stood at the turning point. I fucking lived at the turning point for 2 years. We're all covering for each other and getting all my shifts covered. I can only go if I've had a little bump or a couple of drinks or something. Hanging on by a thread, man. How I never lost this man his bar, I'll never know. Until the phone call came in, man, I got fired from that job. That was 10 times worse than losing my entrepreneurial position, I swear to God. Get down here now. And I was crying as I went to the bar, and he said, you'll never work in here ever again. I gave you far too many chances. Everybody told me this for years. I went back down to that bar the next day to see who took my shift, and I threw a pint over him. How to ostracize yourself from the whole of downtown Santa Barbara in a nanosecond. Only we can pull something like that off. It took me about 2 weeks to get barred from every other pub in downtown Santa Barbara. James Joyce, O'Malley's, Old Kings Road. The Sportsman, he knows, is very difficult to get barred from. We managed that as well. Now I'm just like living to drink. I haven't seen anybody for months. I'm not a cute little drunk. I'm not a little functioning alcoholic. I'm a vodka drinking maniac. And a typical day for me is I would come to, and it would be pitch black outside, and I have no idea whether it's night or day. And I'd figure it out. Oh my God, it's 5 a.m., that loneliest hour before the dawn. Now, I have strong, horrible, warm vodka under my bed, because I'm going to need it at this stage of drinking at first daylight. I'm drinking from tall bottles of vodka, and I always have 4 fingers left in the bottom of it, because it's like a science project. That is exactly what I'm going to need. But I can only debate it for about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes of mental and hellish torture. Because it's going to immediately fix me. But then I'm immediately fucked. And I'm going back and forth and back and forth. And I'll grab that vodka. I'll finish it off. And it will just take the thoughts of suicide away. I'm not becoming the funny little chap anymore. It's just going to just about take the thoughts of suicide away. And I've polished that vodka off. And it's not even 6 a.m. But here's the problem. I've just fed the beast, and now the beast needs feeding. And so now I've got to put on my smelly, baggy clothing to go less than 1 block to Foodland liquor store to steal my 2 big bottles of vodka. And one time I was going to Foodland, and I caught my reflection in a huge shop front window. It was so outrageous. I came back. I went, oh my God. I came back, and I go right up to the image in the window, and I've got my hair is everywhere, matted down. I've got a big-ass bushy beard. I'm yellow with jaundice. I'm so underweight. I look 10 years older than I should have. And I remember I muttered to myself, I said, wow, I better not tell anyone about that. And carried on to Foodland to steal me vodka and go back home. Now I'm home. It's 6:10 in the morning. You can't just pound the vodka like you might want to and pass out. No. It's like a science project. It is immensely important that first bottle gets nursed into the later afternoon, because the second bottle has to get me into the evening. Because what I'm trying to do is get to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, maybe even 11 o'clock at night, pass out and catch a good enough sleep to wake up and not have to drink like that ever again. And it says the mind and body are marvelous mechanisms. I drank like that for 2 more years. 2 more years of jails, institutions, and death, and then I started to turn up drunk at the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Jails, institutions, and death. I've been to jail. I've been to many institutions, including the lockdown psychiatric unit. Death, you can't scare us with death at this stage of drinking. Bring it on. But alcoholism doesn't have the dignity to take us quickly. It might mess with some of us for years, if not decades. My fear is not dying an alcoholic death. My fear is living an alcoholic life, 1 miserable day at a time. And here's how I got sober. I came to one morning and there was no vodka under my bed. And that had never happened to me before. And I took it as a sign that I'm going to kill myself. Now, I was fine with that. I'd tried a couple of months before that. I tried to kill myself. Well, I was at home, all the roommates were out partying, one of them has an arsenal of weapons, it's midnight, I'm maudlin drunk, I broke into Jimmy the door, found all the guns, AKs, shotguns, and I found the loaded revolver. And that's what I'm going to... Now I'm English, I don't quite know what I'm doing with a gun. But I go stumbling into the living room, I sit down, I put the gun in my mouth, it's cold, it's heavy on my teeth, And I'm thinking, wait, do you blow the back of your head off or do you shoot up through the roof of your mouth? And as I'm thinking it through, the thought came to me, Darren, it's midnight. If you pull the trigger right now, you'll definitely wake the neighbours up. You know what I mean? I'm too polite for that shit. Threw the gun down, went back in. But today I'm going to kill myself. I deliberate in my bedroom how to do it. About 10 a.m., I jump in my shitty beat-up vehicle. Thank God it was still there. I was always losing my car, driving drunk. I drove 20 minutes up the 154 Cold Springs Bridge, parked the car. There's suicide rails on it now. There wasn't back then. Popular suicide spot. I walked to the centre of the bridge and I paused because I knew it was going to kill me mum. And in that pause, grace came in the form of a man who told me the truth in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I would be sharing inappropriately sometimes, half drunk. This is bullshit. AA doesn't work. I'm going to kill myself. He said, listen, Darren, you might well kill yourself. You won't be the first and you won't be the last, but you cannot say AA doesn't work. I said, I've been coming here for a year, old man. He said, well, first of all, Darren, you should come sober. It works better. Okay. He said, and a drunk like you need to get a sponsor and work the steps. And I had two big secrets, like many of you do in here. Two big secrets. One was I didn't have a sponsor. And if I did, it was in name only. Yeah. And the other one is I wasn't working any steps. And so I thought to myself, he's right. I've never really done it. God damn it. And it's going to kill me mum and it's going to hurt. And I thought, right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to that AA bullshit and I'm going to do those stupid 12 steps. And I made a decision, like, I really sincerely took this position. Now, what I know at this stage of my alcoholism is I can't just come skipping into the rooms that day. I need to be, once again, medically detoxed. And so I drive back down the mountain road to go to Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital emergency room, and I park in my usual spot. I'd been there 4 times already that year, and it was only April. Back to the lockdown psychiatric unit. As I'm pulling in, I sideswipe the car next to me. I've crashed in the car park. The cops are around the corner. They come over. I get out of the car. So I'm so sorry, sir. That was my fault. I've got my ID. But I've got to go into the hospital. And he comes right up to me. One walks behind me. One comes right up to me. And he's about to say something. He goes, whoa, have you been drinking? I said, no, mate. Have you? They don't like that approach. He said, oh, you reek of alcohol. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. He said, well, we're doing some field sobriety tests. I said, okay. I do 25 minutes of field sobriety tests perfectly. He's so pissed. He looks at his colleague. His colleague goes like this. He says, oh, you're doing some more. I do another 15 minutes. He then makes me blow into his breath. It's about 11 a.m. now. I blow into his breathalyzer and I blow 0.32. I haven't even had a drink yet. I am waking up at a 0.32 and then I'm drinking my 2 big bottles of vodka. These 2 cops cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. I'm sober as a fucking judge. And I said, oh, and then I think I'm going to talk my way out of it. And then he gets the handcuffs out. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? He said, turn around, you're going to jail. Have you ever detoxed in jail? Holy shit. Now I start to use the language of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I sincerely mean it. I tell him I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to do the steps. I'm sorry, sir. I have not had a drink today, but I can see how it might register as that. I said, I'm the worst drunk I've ever met, but I swear I'm going to go and do this thing. And something miraculous starts to happen when I use the language of Alcoholics Anonymous. Of course, they arrest me, but they decide to take me to the local police station, which felt so much safer to me. And now I'm handcuffed in the back of the squad car. We're getting along great. They radio ahead to tell their colleagues about me. They said, hey, we've got this Irishman, and he blew a 0.3. I said, I'm English, you moron. They take me to the police station. They fingerprint me and book me in. Everybody that works in that police station came down to take a look at me and have a chat and have a chit chat with me, sober as a judge. 3 or 4 hours later, somebody they know and trust comes and picks me up to take me back to the lockdown psychiatric unit. But so what? 4 times. And I've literally gotten drunk twice on the way home from there. So what? Here's the difference. The difference is I had hit bottom. Now then, hitting bottom for me gets misrepresented in the rooms of AA a lot. Hitting bottom has become something very, very precise. And anyone that sponsors anyone will understand this. Hitting bottom is when you ask somebody for help and follow through with all the directions. Think about it. The rest is just a bunch of bullshit of your and my war story. If you went to prison and stabbed people and you're drinking out of the pruno, out of the bed frame, you haven't hit bottom, you're doing the same old shit. Some girl said she was selling her body on State Street so she could get high 10 minutes later. I said, that's a very unfortunate, sad story, but you're doing the same old shit. Hitting bottom is when you ask for help and follow through with all the directions. And so they took me to the lockdown psychiatric unit. Now, it sounds a bit miserable, doesn't it, the lockdown psychiatric unit? But I love me some lockdown psychiatric unit. And those of you that have been, you know why. A lot of narcotics are coming my way. And now I'm detoxing and I'm jittery. And I know the drill. I need to be like dumbed down so I don't have a nervous mental breakdown. So the sobriety goes out the window for the minute. I'm happily going back to the lockdown. The security guard takes you into a different elevator, clicks it shut. You go up to the 5th floor. You have to put the phone, they click you in one door, you're in no man's land, they click you through the next door, and then you're back in the lockdown psychiatric unit one more time. Now, I love this place. I'm ready. I need my drugs, dude. And I know the drill. I know exactly what I need to do. You go up to the woman behind the window, the little window. She knows me, and I know her. Said, hello, Mary. How you doing, my love? Did you have a nice Christmas? She's just shaking her head. Said, Mary, I'm going to need my usual cocktail. I'm going to need 118 Valiums, 2 pints of Seroquel, whatever the fuck those pink things are on the top shelf. They look amazing. I'll have some of them. And I'll have my usual room, unless you want to give me the penthouse suite. She's just shaking her head. She gives me as many drugs as is humanly possible. And I wolf all the drugs down. She takes my belt off me. She takes my laces off me, so I don't hang myself in this happy place. 10 minutes later, woof, loaded to the gills. Loaded to the gills, ready to start judging fuckers again. You know what I mean? 3 hours ago, I wanted to kill myself. Now I'm ready to judge everybody. Look at all these morons in this lockdown psychiatric unit. And now I'm in my room. You used to have to put a hospital robe on back then, make sure it's tied in the back. Now I know exactly what I need to do now that I'm in the lockdown psychiatric unit. I need to go and find myself a little girlfriend in the lockdown psychiatric unit. That's what you all do. Don't you lie to me. So I go, where does everybody hang out? They're all in the day room, aren't they? They're in the TV room. So I'm loaded to the gills, go walking down the hallway, slam the door open so everybody looks my way so I can look for my next victim. Look at all these morons. Look at these There's some girl over here banging her head against the wall. There's a guy over here dribbling on himself. And then I see her. Oh, she's gorgeous. She's on her own doing laps around the couch. All on her own. She got this black long hair, which is in front of her face like this. And she's walking around just going, oh! Just walking around with unusually long arms. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. And I go sliding in there and grab her by the hand and we do some laps together until we fall madly in love with each other. And then they detox me from the alcohol by giving me all these drugs. Then they detox me from the drugs and they pop me out sober one more time. 14 days later. So what? I'd hit bottom, was about to prove it. I got out on a Wednesday afternoon. I did not take a drink that afternoon, which is a goddamn miracle. I went to a very powerful men's stag called the Junkyard Dogs. Woof. Now, there are 80 or 90 men outside this meeting hall. They're all smoking fags and drinking coffee and having a good time. Dozens of them were properly armed about the facts about themselves and the illness. I went straight up to the first serious bloke. I said, hey, Mike, I just got out today again, man. I'm going to drink tonight, dude. You know it. I know it. What do I need to do? And he looked at me and said, holy shit, Darren, are you sober right now? I said, yep. He'd never barely seen me sober that whole year. He said, oh my God, let's get into action, dude. Let's do a 3rd step prayer right now. Normally we do some reading, page 60, the ABCs. He said, let's just do it right now. Now, I don't pray. I don't believe in God. I hate religion. I definitely don't pray on my knees. I said, what do you mean, Mike, in front of these 80 men? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. I said, okay, because the no had been beaten out of me. Darren wasn't too cool for school anymore. Darren was about to conform to the process. And we did a 3rd-step prayer in front of everybody. We went into that meeting. It was awesome. I went home from that meeting and I wrote 100 names on my resentment inventory. 100. It was easy. I said to my sponsor, you want me to write down every mofo that's done me wrong? Give me a pen. 100 names. I passed out. I came to the next morning and wrote 100 more. It wasn't even 6 a.m. and I'm shaking and baking. I was going to take a drink. I called this man. He answered the phone. He gave me my next column and he saved my life. I called him 12 times that day to finish all 3 inventories. I went to his house the next day and we did my 5th step. Took us 3.5 hours. As he's sending me home for my hour, he gave me a big hug, said, Darren, this is amazing. This has never happened to me before. I said, hey, Mike, I'm glad you feel good, man. I feel like shit, dude. He's all, don't worry, man. Trust in the process. Trust in the process. And we moved on. The next day we did step 6 and 7. I don't understand what step 6 and 7 are. Nobody understands step 6 and 7. But I had the willingness and the humility, and we moved on. So then I transferred my list the next day, my 8-step list. I already had my list. It was just annoying. I had to transfer it, and I added to my list. On my next day, on days 5 and 6, I went around Santa Barbara and made between 15 and 20 amends over the next 2 days, and I was lit up like a Christmas tree. I was rocketed into a 4th dimension. My little English heart filled up so much I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm like, oh my God, and everything made sense. Oh my God, this is why Kelly's so into Alcott's Anonymous. This is why you guys are sponsoring people. This is why you're of service. Oh my God, it must fill your little heart like mine's being filled right now. Oh my God, this is what you're calling God. You want to call this God? I don't give a shit, dude. Because I saw, I felt, I believed. I felt so good. I got up the next day and I went to Foodland Liquor Store and asked to speak to the manager. I said, hey, sir, I got to tell you, I'm a really bad drunk and I live less than 1 block away from you and I've been stealing vodka from your store for well over a year. I said, I've added it. I'll never steal from you or anyone else ever again. I've added it all up and erred on the side of caution to you and it comes to $2,750. I said, sir, it's Friday. I just started work 2 days ago for the first time in years. It's Friday. I said, there's $25. $25. It was a demonstration. I said, I'll be back every Friday with $25 until I have paid that whole amount off and any interest you determine. I said, is there anything else I can do to make this right? And he looked at me and he said, wow. And I looked back at him and said, wow. And I floated off to make some more financial amends. I couldn't believe how good it felt to give you your money back. I said to my sponsor, what is next? He said, oh my God, Darren, this is amazing. He said, steps 10 and 11. I said, 10 and 11, what's that? He said, yeah, I'll show you step 10, what to do right here, right now to postpone the punishment of. Take care of things quickly. Step 11, I'll show you how to sandwich your day. Show you how to do some meditation. You're already praying your little English ass off. 2 minutes of meditation, 2 minutes to review your day at night. And I'm like, what? 2 minutes, 2 minutes, postpone the punishment of? He knew I was already a recovered alcoholic. And he knew I needed the full strength recovery deal, full strength. I said, he said, yeah, you can do this 1 day at a time and stay sober the rest of your life. I'm like, what? This is just unbelievable. I said, I am in. Dude, I am in. 2 minutes of meditation. I can't skip out on anything. You can't skip a 5th step because you have ADHD, can you? No. You can't skip a 9th step because you don't feel like it. No. I don't know when it became okay to skip out on this 11th step. Thank God I'm the worst drunk he'd ever met, and he gave me the full strength deal. Said, I have to work what I call now the guaranteed version of sobriety. Guaranteed. And so I started off on my 2-minute meditation shitty routine. Meditation, I don't like meditation. I'm just like you. I really don't like meditation. It's taken me 19 3/4 years to go from 2 minutes meditation to 10 minutes meditation. 19 3/4 years. But God loves him a little trier. God loves him a little fucking trier. My God is up there laughing his bearded ass off at me down here in the mornings doing my shitty prayer meditation. Laughing his ass off he is. He's saying, look at that little fuck down there. Look at that little wanker doing his shitty prayer meditation. And he sucks at it, he's saying. Oh, and he sucks at it too. But then he says, oh, you know what? You know what? Check. Give that little fuck another day of sobriety. How cool is my God? He doesn't care I'm a potty mouth man from Manchester. He cares about my actions. Am I helping others? Which I do relentlessly. Relentlessly. There's one of them. Steps 10 and 11, dude, they are the keys to the kingdom. Steps 10 and 11 are so simple, you won't do it. And isn't that the truth? I don't mean you lot, I mean your sponsees. Isn't that the truth? It's so simple, we won't do it. But what is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Only an alcoholic will burn his life to the ground to then come running to a 12-step program just to resist the 12 steps. What is wrong with us? I guess we're alcoholic. But I am in, dude, and I have to work a very, very, very good program just to feel normal. Just to feel normal. Some of us are sicker than others. I'm like Mario, I'm sick as can be, you know. Now, it's okay. I'm glad I'm like that. I'm glad there's no middle-of-the-road solution, because you give me an inch, I will take a mile. I'm glad I'm the worst drunk I've ever met. I'm glad I'm a chronic alcoholic, because you have to be all in. There's something comfortable about being all in. I have to sponsor people. I have to do H&I. I have to do my shitty prayer meditation. I sponsor so many men in Santa Barbara. I do so much AA. I should be the Dalai fucking Lama or some shit. But I do all that just to stay sober like you, just to be another bozo on the bus. This is the best deal in town. This is the greatest show on earth. You want to be involved in a soap opera that will knock your socks off? This is it. Start sponsoring people and see the fellowship. You sponsor guys and gals and see those little troubled soap operas. And some of them go fucking great. And some of them get married and have kids and their life takes off. And some of them get into trouble and relapse and the horrors happen. This is the yin and the yang of Alcoholics Anonymous. But if I stay an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I can remain having a full heart. And we have entered the world of the Spirit. And the best thing about that deal is you don't need time. You don't need any time to become an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous. You just need a gang of steps behind you and a ton of action and get after it. And you can feel good pretty quick. I'll finish with this story about we've entered the world of the Spirit. I was given a talk 8 or 10 years ago at a young person's convention called Akipar. Anyone ever done any YPAW shit? Yeah. Akipar or YPAW, you've got to try it. You've got to do it. You've got to do it because they are annoying as fuck and fun as fuck, all rolled into one. 3,000 of these young maniacs have taken over a Hilton complex in the Bay Area in San Jose, right? Many of them were hospitalized because they've overdosed on Red Bull, right? But don't worry, they gave them a Monster drip and they were all right, you know. Now, I'm the closeout speaker on a Sunday morning, so a lot of these little wankers have gone home, which made my resentment inventory. There's 600 or 800 at this last closeout speaker meeting. I'm sat on the stage. There's a girl next to me who's going to give a talk before me. We don't know each other. I'm from Santa Barbara. We're in the Bay Area. She's from LA. Everybody's looking at us, waiting for us to do our thing. She's messing about on her phone. She's texting on her phone. And I think that's super rude, man. I think that's super rude, but it's none of my business, so I get involved right away. So what the fuck are you doing? What's going on here? And she says, I'm having a problem with it. Now, she's texting her sponsor who's in LA. Her sponsor got sober 21 years previously. 21 years ago, her and 20 other people in this co-ed sober house, all trying to get sober. Most people relapsed, some of them died, some went to jail. 2 of them stayed there for 90 days, stayed sober. The man then moved to Maui, Hawaii, stayed sober for 21 years, raised a family, had 2 boys, did AA on the small island there. His 2 boys are on the mainland going to school, dying of untreated alcoholism. And so the only number he has from Maui He texts her in LA. She texts one of her sponsees who's next to me. She said, well, I need a male number. Can I give him your number? I said, of course you can give him my number. So we do our talks. Everything goes great. The conference is over. I get in the car. Now, when I speak out of town, just like tonight, I take me tough guys with me. You know what I mean? I take all me tatted up guys usually. You know, the sleeved up ones. The ones with tattoos on their necks, you know. Well, you never know what's going to happen. You might run into some of them NA fuckers, you know what I mean? And so we're in the car and we're driving down the freeway and I call this guy and he's on speakerphone. He answers the phone. I said, hey, my name's Darren. Thank you. I'm coming home from a conference. I was told to give you a call. And this man just starts crying his eyes out. He can't catch his breath. He's just crying. We're all like in the car going, oh my gosh, it's such a moment of humility. I wanted to cry. But I can't because I'm with me tough guys. And I look over at the guy next to me, the tattoos on his neck, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute. Are you crying? This guy's crying. Then I look in the rearview mirror in the back. I'm like, are you fuckers crying? In the back, you've got tattoos on your face, you pussy. Everybody's crying. We're all crying. Eventually, the man catches his breath. He said, Darren, I can't thank you enough. Darren, I've been sober 21 years, and I've never, ever, ever asked anything off anyone except if my boys need the hand of AA, please let it be there. I said, dude, I am in. Where are they? What's going on? I'm connected in many states. I'll get the help. We'll see what we can do. He said, they both attend Santa Barbara City College. I said, I work at Santa Barbara City College. We have entered the world of the Spirit. This shit's for fun and for free, man. I went back to Santa Barbara and met both those two men. One of them's become a proud member of the Junkyard Dogs. He's since moved to LA, still sober, killing it as a videographer or something. The other brother, dying of untreated alcoholism. Isn't that the truth that sums it up, though? The yin and the yang of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of you guys is killing it, and the other one's circling the drain of life. And you think you're going to come back like Diego managed to? You think you're going to come back and grab that door handle? But sometimes the door handle is just too far away. And you think it's a revolving door, and it's not. It's a loaded revolver. If you're new and you're having trouble with the whole God thing, I'll leave you with this. Religion might be for those people that are trying to avoid going to hell. But spirituality is for people that have been to hell. Thank you all very much.